Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Clark County, Nevada, where the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series is ready to roll the dice at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. After back-to-back wins, James Ray in the 00 car looks to make tonight his hat-trick night at his hometown asphalt. This 1.5-mile speedway in the desert is about to be the scene of some exciting side-by-side racing. So tell your friends, grab some popcorn, and settle in. I'm Dave Regal, and I'll be bringing you all of the Xfinity Series racing action on iRacing.com from the green flag to the checkered flag tonight on the Independence Racing Network, sponsored by Northeastern Fire and Air. And as you can see here, folks, qualifying is underway, and sitting atop the leaderboard so far is Mike Wright in that number 38 Ford. As we're going to take a look here at Cody Strom laying his first couple of laps here. And I'll tell you what, this series so far has gotten really exciting over the last few days, or over the last few weeks, sorry. James Ray has back-to-back wins. He sits atop the leaderboard on the standings, followed by Mike Wright, who currently is sitting atop the leaderboard tonight. So James Ray, your points leader. Mike Wright in second. Alex Princeton is in third. Josh Ward in fourth. John Bawalda in fifth. Your top five on the Monday Night Xfinity Series point standings. Folks, if you're just tuning in, you are watching the Independence Racing Network. I'm Dave Regal. If you would like, we would greatly appreciate you subscribing and turning on those bell notifications, so you can follow us every time we go live to bring you some exciting Xfinity Series racing action, as we see Bobby Blazer having just finished his qualifying effort, and he has landed himself in ninth. And tonight we take a look here at your current conditions. 65 degree temperature on the track, around the track, and 87 on that asphalt. So definitely a little hot. Definitely going to keep these cars moving loose, and that makes for some exciting racing. And we are brought to you by RS Button Boxes. They will be providing one of the prizes for this season here. And we're also brought to you by Buttkicker, who are also going to be bringing you some prizes for this season. As we take a look here at Paul Ragney in his run for his qualifying lap. We see Ragney just getting himself up to speed. And we see Paul Ragney is going to land himself in 20th position as we take a look here at Ken Ron. Cody Strom, correction. Cody Strom in the beginning of his effort here for qualifying. As we're pretty much running out of time for qualifying. Got about 45 seconds left, and that'll bring up a few minutes of warm-up here as everybody's going to get themselves settled in. We would like to welcome you to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. This is the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series, brought to you by Northeastern Fire and Air, RS Button Boxes, and Buttkicker. Wanted a quick shout-out to the league itself here. This is part of the Sunday Night NASCAR family of racing. And Sunday nights are Cup Series broadcast on SRM and ESPN. James Riles and Rhea Farris bringing you the broadcast there. Tonight, of course, is Monday Night NASCAR with the Xfinity Series, brought to you by me, Dave Regal. And Tuesday nights are the Tuesday Night Thunder Trucks, and they are also broadcast. So all three leagues getting plenty of screen time here as we have about 10 minutes of warm-up. And we see the guys getting themselves all wound up to take off a pit road and get settled in, make those last-minute adjustments. Here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, this mile-and-a-half racetrack is definitely home to some exciting finishes, as we saw over the weekend in NASCAR in real life. Taking a look here at Barrett Coffey. Now, Barrett Coffey, as I just mentioned, the Tuesday Night Thunder Trucks, he is the commissioner of the Tuesday Night Thunder Trucks and a heck of a racer himself, as he has gotten himself quite a lot of guys over there. So we invite you to check that out on Tuesday nights. And again, we do want to talk about Sunday night NASCAR. Sunday night, of course, is Cup Series. Whoa! As we see Barrett Coffey spinning around there with the 18 car. My goodness. Well, fortunately, it's just practice and warm-up. Taking a look now at Dakota Cave as he is getting himself a couple of laps here just to get himself settled in. Out of Fishersville, Dakota Cave in that number 30 Toyota. Turns himself to his best lap of 30.47 seconds, which is ahead of Dan Heichel by about 0.02 of a second, who logged a 30.49. But now I see John Bawalda III having jumped out to a 30.43, so half of a hundredth of a second is John Bawalda faster. And now Cody Strom hops atop the leaderboard. John Bawalda from Bel Air, Maryland. Now we hop over to Cody Strom from Sacramento, California, in the number 53 Toyota. As it seems like everybody's just kind of getting themselves used to what's going on here, and Cody Strom sits atop the leaderboard. Taking a look here through the field, we're going to take a close look here at Tim Trowbridge. Tim is an MNN Xfinity Series regular. He also runs in Cup and Trucks. And Tim Trowbridge laying down a 30.28, trailing James Ray by 0.06 of a second. James Ray, of course, has won back-to-back races in Xfinity here at Daytona and at Las Vegas and at Auto Club last week. Taking a look here at the number 16 Toyota, driven by Seba Cornez, who gets himself a little loose. Seba Cornez, a good friend of mine. He gets the show. Big fan of the Dan Lebitard Show with Stu Gatz, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, based out of Miami. Quite an interesting podcast. They do about 4 hours a couple days a week, and they're fantastic. So if you're looking for the lighter side of sports or the lighter side of the rest of life, the Dan Lebitard Show with Stu Gatz is definitely where to go. Seba and I definitely connected over that. He's funny. Dan Lebitard is. The whole show is fantastic. So if you get the show, give us a shout out here in the live chat. Want to make sure that you subscribe and turn on those bell notifications for every time that we go live here on the Independence Racing Network. It definitely helps get a few more eyeballs onto the sport that we all know and love here on iRacing. The esports community is a growing community, as due to the pandemic of 2020 and 2021, and I guess we're still having the pandemic in 2022, at least here at this point. The iRacing community has exploded membership-wise. The esports community, because people weren't able to do the things that they wanted to do during the pandemic, has really exploded. So it's exciting to see things grow, and it's exciting to be part of that growth, as we are here every week on iRacing.com. We've taken a look here at Zach Osborne, the number 52. He's 7th fastest right now in practice, driving the number 52 Toyota, that's being shown as the 18. And unfortunately, that's a Trading Paints issue. Perhaps he has something checked wrong on his own boxes. And here we have Tony Burt driving the number 72 Chevrolet. Tony Burt is a really good driver. He's a really nice guy. He definitely races as clean as anybody can under the circumstances. And at some racetracks, you just kind of get banged around. At other racetracks, it seems like, you can run a little bit more open. And this racetrack is kind of right there in the middle. It's not too big. It's not too small. It's just right. So I think we're going to see a lot of good racing tonight. And speaking of that racing, we are looking forward to quite a lot of it tonight. We're going to have 200 laps tonight, and we do stage racing in Monday Night NASCAR. So Stage 1 will end after lap 35. Stage 2 will end after lap 70. And then, of course, that leaves about 130 laps to the end. The guys will have 5 sets of tires. So 4 changes of tires, so 4 changes and then 1 that's already on there. No fast repairs, and open setups is the way that this league is put together. You might be asking yourself, what is an open setup? That means that you can put your car together any way that you'd like, whether it's a little tighter, a little looser. There's no limits on what you can do except for what the rules of NASCAR are. There are other leagues that are a little bit different, where they do what's called fixed setups, where everybody is set up the same way, and it's more driver skill than it is anything else, where tonight it's more what can your setup do and are you comfortable in it. As we're taking a look here at Bob Nestor. Bob Nestor is your Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series commissioner, and he is from Lansdale, Pennsylvania, driving the number 29 Relative Properties Toyota. And Bob has put together one heck of a league here. He's managed to get several people that are new. We ran several recruitment races during the off season, and Bob has managed to get a whole lot accomplished, including prizes and things, which we'll talk about tonight, for the people that are competing in the series championship, which I'll tell you what, as far as a lot of the leagues that we see out there, this group of cars, this group of drivers is really racing for a lot of exciting things on iRacing.com. So we're going to get set to show you the field and get ready for some green flag racing. And we're here at 15th position with Jeff Cronin in the number 18 Toyota. Dakota Cave, Zach Osborne, and Lewis Fetterman round out your top 20. As, again, we want to talk about Mike Wright and James Ray here on the front row. These guys have definitely put the work in, and it shows every week. So we're definitely excited for some green flag racing here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And that man in the stand has the green flag in his hand. We are going green flag racing at Las Vegas Motor Speedway as James Ray hops across the start-finish line alongside Mike Wright. And we are green flag racing underway. And we see that caution coming out here as it looks like Bobby Blazer has gotten himself in all kinds of a mess. We're going to take a run back here and take a look at it. Bobby Blazer definitely goes to avoid what was going on in front of him with William Fink, as it looks like William Fink got it all wrong here. Coming out of turn 4, and we'll take a run back here and see what he saw. We see him coming down the backstretch, and as he goes through here, it looks like he just gets a little loose on these cold tires, brings it around, and brings our first caution of the evening. And as we get you reset here, we do just want to talk about a couple of these drivers running up front, including Mike Wright from Greensboro, North Carolina, who qualified on the pole tonight and has gotten himself still here on the outside of row number 1. When we go back green flag racing, I'd be willing to bet that he's probably not an unhappy camper, as that top line has definitely got a little bit more room in it. Followed by Dylan Ackert in the number 66 Chevrolet. Alex Princeton from Lake Elmo, Minnesota in that number 19 Toyota. Chris Watkins has already moved up from 6th to 5th tonight in the 04 Toyota out of Bells, Texas, with Dan Heichel in the number 7 Ford, gaining 2 spots already in just that first lap. Jarrett Small in 7th. Bobby Blazer, the number 90 car. Bob Nestor also gaining 2 spots tonight in the number 29 Relative Properties Toyota Supra. Jeff Carson, Bob's teammate in the 03 Toyota, right behind him from Cross Junction, Virginia. And Bryson Alexander in the number 98 Toyota, who started in 10th and is now running in 11th. Tonight, right in front of John Timms in the number 76 from Stoystown, number 76 Toyota, with Ian Humphreys in the number 32 Toyota. Folks, we do want to take a minute to thank our sponsors who are so gracious in and providing us the ability to come out and be able to broadcast this race for you, for this race to even happen itself. And we do want to thank Northeastern Fire and Air, Buttkicker, and RS Button Boxes, who have really come together for us. And we just want to take a minute here for Buttkicker.
With the Buttkicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Buttkicker, the future is feeling.
And we want to welcome you back here to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series is getting ready to go back green after a wreck just a few moments ago. Here on lap number 5 of 200. So those pace car lights are out. That means that we will be going back green flag racing here any second now, as that pace car is now entering turn 3 with James Ray, Mike Wright, Dylan Ackart, Alex Princeton, and Chris Watkins, your top 5, following close behind. And that pace car just about to dive down pit road as James Ray, who was the Pied Piper of Fontana last week, gets himself out to one heck of a good start here. And we are back green flag racing on lap number 6 of 200 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. James Ray opening himself out to more than a 1.5 second lead now, as we are back under caution at lap number 7, as it looks like Mark Brewster has had himself a little bit of a run in here. Just trying to search back here and see what happened with Matt Mackin, as it looks like it was just all kinds of mayhem for him. Looks like Mackin gets into the rear of Josh Ward, and all kinds of net code and connection issues seem to have taken place all at once. And I gotta believe that that was not intentional in any way, as it looks like he just had himself a rough time there. Well, folks, we want to welcome you again to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. If you're just tuning in, I'm Dave Regal from the Independence Racing Network, bringing you the action. And we have had quite an eventful first several laps here, as we've had 2 cautions in 8 laps, as guys are trying to get themselves settled in. These cars are definitely a little wild tonight. Maybe the racetrack is getting a little loose here with that late afternoon sun beating down on the asphalt. As your race leader, James Ray, had himself out to about a 1.5 lead when the caution came out. Which, quite frankly, at this stage in the game, seems like that's the normal thing for James Ray, is he has been the leader of this league. And looking through some of the standings here for this season in Xfinity, James Ray sits atop the points chart with Mike Wright right behind him, and that's really not too different from what we see here on the track tonight, with Chris Watkins separating them in the 04 Toyota. And Josh Ward, who was just involved in that last incident, is sitting in 4th with John Bawalda in 5th. Your top 5 in points are James Ray, Mike Wright, Alex Princeton, Josh Ward, and John Bawalda. And these guys have put a lot of work in. They've put a lot of practice laps in, and they're just trying to make sure that they're going to have a good night here in the Xfinity Series Racing Series that Monday Night NASCAR brings to you. As the pace car is about to dive down pit road, and we see James Ray has control of the field, and he jumps out as soon as it's time, and we are back boogieing down the front stretch here, as that 00 is not going to waste any time getting in front of everyone. Things starting to heat up now here in front of Dan Heichel with the 04 and the 66 of Dylan Ackert and Chris Watkins, respectively, as they are just about 3 wide here, with the 04 down on your low side with that 38 of Mike Wright. This is a 3-way battle for second position here between the 66, the 04, and the 38. As none of them is going to be put to bed easy tonight, with Dan Heichel lurking just behind them. And as we look a little bit further back, Bobby Blazer is leading yet another group of cars. It seems like everybody's fighting in packs of 3 tonight, which is fine. It keeps things simple. But, and we see the 04 just got himself a little bit loose. That 04 driven by Chris Watkins. As we're going to look back here and see exactly what might have happened there. And it looks like Watkins just gets himself up to the wall and allows the door to open, which at a track like Las Vegas, that's kind of characteristic here, as we've already ticked off 13 laps marching toward that lap 35 stage break here. And the 19 of Alex Princeton leading Bobby Blazer and Timmy Trowbridge as they come through the tri-oval to tick off another lap completed here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And I see behind them Bob Nestor running in 9th position right now in the number 29 Relative Properties Toyota Supra, is keeping himself up there but kind of out of the line of fire. And right now I'm sure on the radio he's thinking to himself, it looks a little hairy up here, I'm going to stay back here and wait for somebody else to make a mistake. As we look back here at Cody Strom in the number 53 Toyota in that Napa Auto Parts machine, chasing down what looks like his twin there in Jeff Carson in the 03 Toyota, and the 32 of Ian Humphreys in between the two of them, going down the back stretches. They have pretty much strung out single file here on the backstretch with 15 laps completed. Now we see Cody Strom looking to the inside of Ian Humphreys, and I don't think he's got the oomph to get just around him yet, but he's definitely working on it. As long as he keeps hitting those marks, he's got a reasonable shot at making sure to complete all of that. As we're taking a look again here at Dan Heichel, And then that knock behind him that Bob Nestor is inching closer and closer to, with the 89 car of Chris Gore Sr. back in 24th, working that outside line, trying desperately to hold off John Bawaldo III, your fifth-place points-sitting driver. In Jarrett Small, the number 17 car, also working his way up through the field, chasing down David Barnes in the 88. And we see Jarrett is basically keeping himself in that middle groove. It's probably a safe place to be. You get a decent amount of speed. You get a good run off the exit as he just barely misses running into David Barnes' rear. As he's going to work him on the outside. He gets a good run off of turn 2, and he's hoping to get the same thing here off of turn 4 as he follows the 89 car of Chris Gore Sr. in that Chevrolet, as it seems like we've had yet another lead change where James Ray is back out front with Mike Wright now following him closely up at the front. And it seems like Mike Wright and Dylan Ackert are really duking it out and exchanging blows here at the front of the pack. And then we look a little bit further back at Tim Trowbridge, who trails the leaders here in 6th position by about 0.6 of a second. And Tim Trowbridge is the kind of driver where he's going to sit there and he's going to hit his marks. He's going to be there at the end as long as he doesn't get wrapped up in anything crazy, which, of course, as everybody knows, no matter what level of racing you're in, can always happen. Stupid is always lurking around the next turn. And we see Ian Humphreys in that number 32 Toyota dealing blows here with Jeff Carson and Cody Strom in close tow. That pair of Napa Auto Parts cars following the 32 as close as they can. And it looks like this time Carson's going to stay on the inside of Cody Strom as the two of them come through the tri-oval and drop back into just about single file, about to enter turn number 1. And if you're watching us on YouTube, we do want to invite you to like, subscribe, and share the Independence Racing Network. Turn on those bell notifications so every time we go green flag racing on a Monday night, you are getting that notification and getting in here. If you're watching us in the live chat, give us a shout. Let us know who you're pulling for and what you're hoping to see tonight here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as we're watching a three-way battle here for 9th and 10th form itself, with John Timms in that number 76 Toyota now creeping in here as he is definitely trying to close in on that 03 of Jeff Carson. And riding along here with Jeff Carson, we can see him working that inside line here, and he's going to stay down there, but after a while, that's really going to start to cook your tires over. Jeff Carson, of course, from Cross Junction, Virginia, driving the 03 Toyota from Napa Auto Parts, chasing down his, kind of his car twin, I guess you'd call him. Up here, Cody Strom running in 10th position as Carson has dropped back to 13th. And we're taking a look now as Mike Wright is closing in about 0.2 of a second behind James Ray now. The two of these guys are going to start exchanging blows here as we have ticked off 26 laps now of 200 total and marching ever closer to the end of stage one as we're about 10 laps away from the end of the first stage here. And James Ray looking to hold that lead. But at this point, it looks like Mike Wright has his number and is closing fast as he has now closed that gap to about 0.16 seconds. As he's now looking to the inside, getting ever closer to that white line, which is quite dangerous at a track like this here. And we're going to watch these two go at it. And we are going to watch Mike Wright chase down James Ray here in that 00 Toyota Supra. The 38 Ford Mustang, driven by Mike Wright, has his number and is chasing him down. And while those two try to decide who's going to drive and who's going to follow, we look back at Chris Watkins, who's dropped one position so far since we've started tonight's race here on lap 29. Running around right now in 7th position is Watkins. And so far, our big mover of the night is Andrew Layton in the number 84 Chevrolet. Andrew, a Monday Night NASCAR series regular from Huntington Beach, California, who's a DJ during the day, has already gained 18 positions, having started in 38th. So Andrew in this number 84 Monster Energy Chevrolet making some progress as he is plowing forward through the field. Our other big mover in the opposite direction is Jarrett Small, the number 17 Chevrolet, having dropped 17 positions, which is strange for Jarrett, but perhaps he's got himself a mechanical issue or maybe an adjustment that isn't so great, as it kind of looks like he might be fighting that coming out of turn number 2 onto the backstretch. But we see him chasing down the number 57, as it looks like things have definitely shuffled around up here toward the front. As James Ray and Mike Wright are absolutely going at it right now. You are watching Monday Night Xfinity Series racing action on the Independence Racing Network. We are brought to you by Northeastern Fire and Air, RS Button Boxes, and Buttkicker. And if you aren't aware of what a Buttkicker is, let me just tell you, check out their website and see what this piece of equipment can do on your racing rig at home. It definitely increases your immersion in iRacing, and you can hook it up. Me personally, I attach it to the iRacing LFE, so it's picking up everything in that low frequency range of sound on iRacing, and it feels a lot more like a car that I should be sitting in and being simulated in. We're watching Tim Trowbridge closing in on Dan Heichel here as we are at lap number 33, marching toward lap number 35. And we see Trowbridge backing off just a little bit, but right behind him is Alex Princeton, Bob Nestor, and Chris Watkins in quite a little battle here. As it looks like Nestor's going to cede the spot away, which at this point in the race is probably a good idea. And that brings out a caution. Whatever just kind of happened there, we will take a look for you. And I'm fairly certain that that should end the stage here, as we have now began lap number 35. And after 35 laps, we're going to start seeing some pit strategies come into play here, as we should see several people coming down pit road. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on whether or not Mike Wright and James Ray come in and how they come out. And we'll get you reset here after a quick word from Buttkicker and Northeastern Fire and Air.
With the Buttkicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Buttkicker, the future is feeling.
In 2007, Ray Regal had a vision of serving his fellow firefighters' breathing air needs better. As a City of Reading firefighter since 1975, he knows the difficulties of finding the best and most affordable service company to care for and manage the most important means of survival firefighters have: breathing air. Northeastern Fire and Air is committed to providing our brothers and sisters with the best service in the industry and at an affordable cost. For more information, call 610-207-6608 for a consultation today, and know that you can breathe easy with Northeastern Fire and Air. And we welcome you back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as we have now completed lap number 36 of 200, and nobody's been down pit road yet out of the lead cars here. It's kind of interesting. You'd think after this many laps that maybe it would be about time. But with only 4 changes of tires, maybe it's more of a matter of staying out and seeing if they can't stretch this just a little bit further. You are watching us on YouTube. This is the Independence Racing Network. We invite you to please subscribe and like, share us, get the word out there for Monday Night NASCAR. This is one of the few Xfinity Series leagues that are on iRacing.com. And it is proudly run by Bob Nestor, who tonight is driving the number 29 Toyota Supra, sponsored by Relative Properties. And your race leader right now, Mike Wright, followed by James Ray, Dylan Ackert, Tim Trowbridge. Chris Watkins is on the inside of row 3 with Bobby Blazer on his outside. Bob Nestor, your Xfinity Series commissioner, in 7th. Cody Strom in 8th. Ian Humphreys in 9th. And Jeff Carson in the 03 Toyota rounds out your top 10. As we see, the pace car lights are still on. Trying to find out exactly what's going on here. As we should see those pace car lights turn out. And we should be getting ready to go back green flag racing here. And we see a couple of guys came in this time during this caution. Dan Heichel, Alex Prince, and Bryson Alexander. Jeff Cronin in the number 20, in the number 18 Toyota. John Bawalda, Ken Ron, Derek Jacobs, Andrew Layton. They've all come in on lap number 35 for pit service. And it seems like pretty much everybody from 20th through the leader has not pitted. As also Seba Cornez, Christian Stewart, Barrett Coffey, David Barnes, JB Banner, and Matt Mackin have also come in for pit service here recently. But they are, of course, all laps down. So there's 30 cars on the lead lap right now. And we've completed 38 of 200 laps as we are going to get ready to march toward lap number 70. And we are back green flag racing on lap number 39 here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as Mike Wright has now jumped himself out to a nice healthy lead over Dylan Ackert with James Ray in third. And these guys are going to be duking it out as we are back under caution again, it appears. My goodness, as it looks like Paul Ragney and David Barnes have themselves all kinds of wrapped up. And it looks like Chris Claude, Lewis Fetterman, and Chris Gore Sr. may have been involved. We're going to go back here and take a look at Chris Claude and see from his perspective what happened. As it looks like the 94, Lewis Fetterman, had gotten himself all kinds of wrong. We see the 94 here on the high side just comes down in front of the 1 car of Josh Ward and gets the 10, the 89, and the 17 all kinds of wrapped up. And that's probably going to be affecting a lot of strategy here moving forward. And probably send a lot of these guys down to the pits for quite a while. And we're going to see if we can't get a hold of Sunday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series Commissioner Chris Claude in just a moment. And we are trying to get Chris Claude into the broadcast booth and see if we can't get from his perspective what happened. Chris, this is Dave Regal up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here, Dave.
Hey, seems like things kind of got a little hairy in front of you. Did you get any bad damage there?
50 seconds, and Barrett said that my front end didn't look that great, so I just went ahead and got as much fixed as I can right now under this caution, and then I'll get the rest of it fixed after the stage break.
Well, then it's not that bad. It's not like it was several minutes of repair. It just seemed like the 94 had come down there in front of Josh Ward, and all kind of mayhem had broken out in front of you.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it sounded to me also. Actually, I think Josh may have thought it was initially on him, but turns out that he took that back after he had a chance to look at it, so it sounds like you've got a better idea of what actually happened.
Yeah, it was a rough one. It seems like it's been a little bit caution-filled tonight.
It has, yeah, and we had the first caution with the single file, and that didn't seem to fix anything, so we went back to double file and actually did have a decent run after that. So...
Well, Chris,
anyway,
I mean, it is what it is. That's racing. But listen, I'll get you back to your Discord. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout-out to tonight?
I just want to give a shout-out to my team, as always, Joe Gibbs Racing. They, me and Bob and Jeff all here that run the Xfinity every week do our best to try to put a good, stable setup together and to try to get the best finish we can, stay out of trouble. And unfortunately, that's not the case for me tonight, but I'll try to do the best I can to recover.
Well, you are Xfinity's Mr. Consistency, so I have no doubt that you'll still be there at the end fighting it out.
I hope so.
All right, man, take it easy.
Thanks, you too.
That was Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series Commissioner Chris Claude, who does an absolute bang-up job when it comes to getting things organized, as he has put the right people in the right places here, which is what a good manager does. He finds the right people for the right jobs, and he works very closely with Bob Nestor and Barrett Coffey. Barrett drives the number 4 Ford, and it looks like he is off track right now, getting ready to come back in, as he's got it put back together. Here on lap number 43, he'll get out right in front of the pace car so he doesn't lose yet another lap, as he's already down 2. And those pace car lights are out, and that means that we will be going back green flag racing this time by. So we'll be back green flag racing at lap number 44. The Las Vegas Motor Speedway, actually, in case you didn't know, was originally a road course and a drag strip that racers used. It was never really intended to be an oval like this, but of course with the rise of NASCAR and oval racing through the late 70s and 80s, they did build the addition of a 3/8 mile track. But in 96, when NASCAR really took off, especially with their television partners and spread like wildfire, is when for $72 million, they built this 1.5-mile monster in the desert. And they have done such an amazing job with the upkeep of this track, as it always seems like a jewel in the middle of the desert. As we see Mike Wright and Dylan Ackert on the front row, Dylan Ackert on the inside this time, with Mike Wright here in the 38 car, jumping himself out to a pretty healthy lead at the beginning of this set of laps. Here with Dylan Ackert in hot pursuit in the number 66, being chased down side by side by the 74 of Timmy Trowbridge and James Ray in the 00 Toyota. And it seems like Mike Wright has had himself an issue, as he is dropping way back in line here, all the way back to 12th now, as Dylan Ackert is now going to take the lead. Away from him, now being chased down by Tim Trowbridge on the outside, James Ray on the inside. And James Ray and Tim Trowbridge going to be exchanging blows left and right here, with a couple of uppercuts and maybe a jab here and there, as they come back into the front stretch, getting ready to go through the tri-oval. James Ray, they go 3 wide around Dylan Ackert, who holds the high side. None of them have fresh tires, as we are now under caution yet again here at lap number 46. And with this caution, when the timing line was last crossed, Tim Trowbridge was in P1, so that'll set it up to be Tim Trowbridge, Dylan Ackert, and James Ray, your top 3 right now, if things stay the way that they are. And something else about this track that's always very unique, as we see Tim Trowbridge and the leaders all coming down pit road, that'll probably cycle Alex Princeton all the way to the lead, who last came in at lap 35, as well as Dan Heichel in the number 7 Ford, also going up higher on the leaderboard. We're going to watch these guys come down pit road. As we see James Ray in that 00 there in that second pit box, getting himself some 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast, with the 38 right in front of him, his former sparring partner here. Looks like it was probably a good time for Mike Wright to come down, as he's getting his 4 tires. But of course, he's still going to be shuffled pretty far back as we watch the race off of pit road. It's going to be kind of a dicey restart here, as Alex Princeton in the number 19 Toyota and Dan Heichel in the number 7 Ford are going to be side by side on the front row. And all of these cars here, from Alex Princeton, Dan Heichel, Bryson Alexander, and Jeff Cronin, all came into pit last at lap 45, as we are currently as we are currently at lap number 48. So these guys, they've got a little bit more than 10-lap-old tires. And Jarrett Smollast came in at lap 40, so he's got a little bit fresher set of tires here for gripping on this racetrack. But I'm afraid it's not going to be too comforting, especially when you have the likes of Tim Trowbridge, James Ray, and Dylan Ackert running in 6th, 7th, and 8th, respectively, with brand new, fresh tires. So just something to be aware of here, an interesting fact about Las Vegas Motor Speedway. There's actually a total of 9 different tracks into the facility that accommodate a huge variety of racers. And the main track, of course, is called the Super Speedway, which is a 1.5-mile oval. But they also have something called the Strip that is for drag racing, as well as a small clay oval and a dirt track. And it may not have as much seating in those smaller non-main tracks as, of course, this 123,000 seat main track has, but they definitely get a lot of use out of it. Of course, the weather in Las Vegas is usually sunny and dry. Of course, on Saturday during the Xfinity race, there was actually snow on the racetrack, and they had to come under a red flag condition until they could get that squared away. Kind of an interesting thing, especially when you think desert, Las Vegas, 110 during the summer. They have snow on a Saturday afternoon in March, and quite an interesting sight. I know I was surprised when I turned over to that channel at one point and saw the red banner, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? And it turns out to be snow, of all things. We do want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, RS Button Boxes, Buttkicker, and Northeastern Fire and Air, who have all really stepped up to help make this league exciting to watch on YouTube, and of course also, most importantly, get these guys excited to race for this series victory down the road. And the way that works is here, at the end of the season, the champion will win himself a butt kicker and a choice of an I flag or $100. So that's a butt kicker and his choice. Then second and third place both get butt kickers, and fourth place gets whatever the champion didn't choose, either the I flag or $100. And the top non-playoff driver gets whatever the champion and the fourth place driver didn't choose. So that could be either the I flag or $100. As we are about to go back green with Alex Princeton and Dan Heichel on the front row, and we are going to see them try to muscle their way above everybody else as Bryson Alexander in that number 98 Toyota takes to the inside, and he is going to start to put the moves on Alex Princeton, who thinks that he's built up quite a lead with a quarter second over everybody else, now 0.3 of a second over everybody else. But this race is just starting to heat up on lap number 51 as we look a little bit further back in the field, as Dylan Ackert in the number 66 Chevrolet kind of has a bus driving paint scheme to it, is about to be passed by James Ray, who, wow, really comes close to washing up into him. My goodness. Oh, and they are 3 wide with the 66 in the middle and the 98 on the top, as we are holding our breath, waiting to see what's happening here, as we're going to see the 98 back out and let the 00 and the 66 duke this mess out. And I'll tell you what, that can be nerve-wracking from a driver's standpoint right there. And we see the number 66 not willing to give up yet on chasing James Ray down as they go through turn 4 back onto the tri-oval, as the 66, who has slightly newer who both came in with James Ray, They both have slightly newer tires than Dan Heichel and Alex Princeton, who lead this piece. As Dan Heichel in that 7-4 is starting to back up and go the wrong direction here with James Ray hot on his trails. But that does allow Alex Princeton to build himself quite a healthy lead, more than half a second, and he's running all by himself up there. "55 laps completed here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as we are taking a look here at Bobby Blazer, that number 90 Ford, running right now in 8th position, and now to Zach Osborne in the number 52 Toyota, running in 12th, as they are both dealing with a lot of traffic around them, a lot of volume around them. Speed is definitely not an issue. It's definitely not like being on the Schuylkill Expressway during rush hour where it's speed is the problem. Right now it's volume, so it's a volume delay here as they're trying to cut their way up through the field, with Bob Nestor in the number 29 down 2 spots from where he started, as we see the number 17 car of Jarrett Small on the high side, keeping himself as best he can out of the way. As we completed 56 laps, they're just about 3 wide in front of Nestor, as the 03 of Jeff Carson gets himself all set up for battle, and we look back to the 32 now of Ian Humphreys and his Toyota chasing down that knot of cars in front of him. Of course, with John Timms there in the middle driving that number 76 VRS Toyota Supra, working the inside alongside the 18 of Jeff Cronin and Bob Nestor in the number 29, as these guys are going to be duking it out left and right here as we are marching toward lap number 70 to conclude the second stage of racing here. And just a reminder, we do run stage racing. Stage 1 ended at lap 35, so at the conclusion of lap 35, once that 10th car being scored came past the start-finish line, they froze the field and got themselves set up. Then stage number 2 will end at lap number 70, and we will do the same thing where it will be a competition caution. That's going to happen in about 12 laps here, as your leader James Ray has built himself up about a 0.6 of a second lead over Alex Princeton. We're watching John Timms in the number 76 chasing down Jeff Carson, and we're doing our very best to keep an eye on just about everybody, as there is action all over the track. There is not a single area of the track, with the exception of James Ray out there leading this piece, past Alex Princeton, as I do want to take a quick look here at James Ray as he makes the move on Alex Princeton to get himself the lead. And we see Princeton being followed by James Ray, who just gets down here on the inside, gives it a look, gets the run, and keeps down on the low side, which seems to be kind of a power direction for him, as he stuck down there last night in cup racing. And entering turn 2, he completes the pass over top of Alex Princeton, who definitely has about 12 lap older tires than Ray does. And folks, if you're just joining us, you're watching the Independence Racing Network, bringing you iRacing.com's most exciting Xfinity Series racing action on Monday Night NASCAR, as we are brought to you by Northeastern Fire and Air, RS Button Boxes, and iRacing.com. And right now we're taking a look at Ken Ron, who's just about the only person who's not in the middle of a race sandwich right now, as we look back here to Tony Burt being chased down by Zach Vaughn in 19th and 20th, and behind Vaughn it just seems like a mess, where Mike Wright, who had led several laps here tonight, is deeply back in traffic here. He's lost 20 positions so far, as he is currently running in the 21st spot. Of course, the biggest mover so far going the other direction is Ken Ron in the number 33, who has come up 22 positions, and now Andrew Layton takes that crown away from him in the number 84 Chevrolet, sponsored by Monster Energy, as he is out here giving it all he's got at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And Andrew Layton good friend of mine, has gotten himself up to into the top 15. So good for him, and I hope that he keeps pressing forward as he's chasing down Bob Nestor, and he's about 6/10 of a second behind him. So not really sure if he's got enough time to chase him down during this stage, but it'll definitely set things up to make it interesting for the final stage of 130 laps. And as we get ready to chase down the last couple of laps of this stage, we just want to invite you to sit back and enjoy the sounds of this race. Turn it up on the Independence Racing Network. And folks, we are live at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in Clark County, Nevada, as we are watching James Ray with himself a 1.5 second and better lead over Dylan Ackert in the number 66 Chevrolet, as we are getting ready to finish the second stage here in Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series racing action, as James crosses the start-finish line to begin lap number 70. When he crosses the start-finish line again, he will probably be, barring anything catastrophic, will be crowned Stage 2's winner. And we're going to be keeping a close eye on Zach Osborne, as once he is across the line, that will conclude the stage. And we see Osborne working his way out of turn number 4. And just as he's crossing the start-finish line, we should see that second stage end. And it appears we're going to continue racing here. So we've got James Ray, your leader, followed by Dylan Ackert, Chris Watkins, Alex Princeton, Tim Trowbridge, your top 5, followed by Dan Heichel, Bobby Blazer, Cody Strom, Bryson Alexander, and Zach Osborne to round out your top 10 here on lap number 72 of 200 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. You're watching the Independence Racing Network on YouTube, bringing you some action from iRacing.com. I see in our live chat that Chris Neal Prasad says, "Let's go, Cody," and I believe that they're referencing Cody Strom. If I can't find him. Cody Strom running right now in 8th position, up 14 from where he started in this number 53 Napa Auto Parts Toyota, as he is on lap number 74. Cody last came in on lap number 47, and it seems like Chris Neal is definitely pulling for him. So thanks for the heads up there, Chris Neal. We'll keep an eye on Cody for you, and hopefully we can see him make some more progress here as he is chasing down Bobby Blazer in the number 90 Ford. The number 90 Ford showing up as a different number. That must be a custom paint scheme that iRacing is not willing to put on the car right now. And folks, we're just going to take another quick break here as we're going to check in with a couple different things here on track. So sit back and enjoy what racing is going on here as we are going to cycle you through the field, starting with the number 18 Toyota of Jeff Cronin. All right, folks. Well, after checking with the commissioner himself over in his race chat, I do want to update you. So stage 2 is going to actually end at lap number 90. There was an error in the writing here. So we get to watch Chris Watkins chase down James Ray here, challenging him for the lead. We came back just in time, as Chris Watkins is going to be looking to the inside of Ray. And this is absolutely an exciting race here. As we're getting into the lap traffic game, we see James Ray chasing the number 88 car driven by David Barnes, who is laps down already. And he's just trying to get himself set up to get away from Dylan Ackert and Chris Watkins, as now Ackert is running in second position, sucked right up against his bumper, the best that he can be right now. And now it looks like Ackert is going to look to the inside of Ray, as maybe Ray has shown a little bit of weakness here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as these guys are suddenly trying to attack him left and right. I mean, goodness gracious, they're not letting up, and Ray is dive bombing down across the start-finish line to hold his position here on lap number 81, as they now have 10 laps to the end of this stage. And it looks like Ray is going to hold that position, but the 66 of Dylan Ackert isn't going to be put to bed early tonight. No sirree, as Dylan has now wrestled the lead away from James Ray, and the 04 of Chris Watkins following him in close pursuit to see if they can hang Ray out to dry, and he does. And your new race leader is Dylan Ackert, driving the number 66 Chevrolet, as now he's being challenged by Chris Watkins. Watkins isn't willing to put anything to bed tonight. No, sir. At this point, he's just trying to get this stage win. And with the 10 laps, now 9 laps that are left, He's not willing to give up easily. And for as many laps as they have on these tires, which is going to be at the end of the stage just under 45 laps, he's willing to burn those off and turn that rubber to liquid. As they cross the start-finish line for lap number 83, he looks again to the inside of Dylan Ackert. They are battling this out. There's blood flying all over the racetrack as these guys are not willing to give up. This is the best racing we've seen all night so far. As James Ray gets himself a little loose there on the outside, we see Chris Watkins going for it here and backs off and giving Dylan Ackert a little bit of breathing room. Maybe he's kind of worn those tires out some. We're going to see if he can dive in here one more time as we're in the closing laps of stage number 2. Watkins, the Bells, Texas native, driving that number 04 Toyota Supra, chasing down Dylan Ackert. These two are absolutely going at it tonight. And we'll show you here on the battle box on the right side of your screen just what kind of times they're running as we're going to switch between the two of them and see what kind of mayhem they can unleash upon one another. And I'm afraid Chris Watkins may have used up his tires a little too much, as it doesn't seem he has as much forward bite anymore to chase down Dylan Ackert. He gets a good run coming into turn 1, but rolling out of turn 2, Dylan Ackert is able to hold that high side and get the run down the backstretch, setting him up for a good entry into turn 3 and a nice roll of the center through turn 4 back onto the front stretch. We take a look back here now at Tim Trowbridge and James Ray, your former race leader, James Ray, as he's being chased down by Tim Trowbridge. Seems like as soon as those tires fell off, Ray couldn't hold it together, and he has slid back now into 3rd position. Still going to keep him on the podium for the end of stage number 2 here, which is going to end in about 4 laps on at the end of lap number 90. And we see Ray and Trowbridge getting around the lap cars. Here, that's the 73 car of Christian Stewart, the first car a lap down right now. As we can also see that Dan Heichel and Bryson Alexander have 12 lap older tires than everybody else in the top 20. They are sitting there trying to keep things together and maintain their position. And Dan Heichel's number 7 Ford riding in number 7th right now. And Bryson Alexander riding in number 8 in the 98. Bryson working around Jeff Carson right now, doing his best to try to get a run here as we check back on our leaders. Dylan Ackert and Chris Watkins, as Chris now knows that he's only got about 2 laps to go here as we're entering the final lap of stage number 2. And it looks like, oh my, Chris Watkins gets hung up behind Barrett Coffey in the number 4 Busch car, which gives Dylan Ackert all the space he needs to basically wrap up this stage 2 win. As we are now going to see that competition caution get ready to come out. And Dylan Ackert in the number 66 Chevrolet is your Stage 2 winner, followed by Chris Watkins, James Ray, Tim Trowbridge, Bobby Blazer, Cody Strom, Dan Heichel, Jeff Carson, Mike Wright, and Bryson Alexander. And as we talked before, Dan Heichel and Bryson Alexander running on significantly more laps on these tires at 12 laps. And believe you me, that makes all the difference here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And we're going to see everybody form up here behind the pace car on lap number 90. We are going to have 110 laps here to the end now. Just to remind everybody, we did have a little bit of a hiccup there in the original race information that was provided. So actually, lap number 45 was the end of stage number 1. Lap number 90 is now the end of stage 2, as we see Dylan Ackert bringing the field down pit road, as it looks like everybody's going to come in and get on that same pit strategy. Here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, looks like every lead lap car has now come down. And we see here at the front of the line, Mike Wright in the number 38 Ford, followed by James Ray in the 00 Toyota Supra. Desperately trying to get their pit service finished, as it looks like Dylan Ackert wins the race off of pit road, followed by Tim Trowbridge, James Ray, Bobby Blazer, Cody Strom, Chris Watkins, Dan Heichel, Mike Wright, Bryson Alexander, Zach Osborne, your top 10 off of pit road, followed by Zach Vaughn, Dakota Cave, Lewis Fetterman, John Bawaldo III, Bob Nestor, Jeff Cronin, and Brad Gunn, your top 17 off of pit road. And if you're just joining us, you are watching the Independence Racing Network. I'm Dave Regal here in the broadcast booth, bringing you all of the action on YouTube from iRacing.com and the Monday Night Xfinity Series League here on iRacing. This is part of the Sunday Night NASCAR series of racing, and I do want to give a shout out to the SNN family of racing series. These guys race 3 nights a week. Sunday night is Cup, Monday night is Xfinity Series, and Tuesday night is the Thunder Trucks. And Chris Claude, the commissioner of Sunday Night NASCAR's Cup Series, who we talked to a little bit ago during a caution, who had gotten himself wrapped up, he has assembled quite a group of leaders around him, including tonight's commissioner, first-year commissioner Bob Nestor from Lansdale, Pennsylvania, and Barrett Coffey, who drives the number 4 Ford from Prim Springs, Tennessee. These 3 guys from 3 different walks of life have really worked together and done a lot of good work here with this league. And quite frankly, we do want to tip our cap to those guys for keeping things moving. There is a lot at stake here this season in the Xfinity Series. Just to bring you up to speed here, And I'll be right back with you after we get the green flag. And Dylan Ackert in the number 66 Chevrolet hops himself out to a good lead here at the start-finish line, followed by James Ray and Tim Trowbridge, as we are now underway for stage number 3 here, the final stage. We're going to have about 110 laps all the way to the end, as it looks like I've got a little bit of a wild overlay issue here. Let's get that fixed. As we are back green flag racing on lap number 96 with James Ray now your leader and Dylan Ackert down on the infield. Seems like something happened here with Chris Gore and all kinds of action going on here. And we are going to do our very best to bring that to you. Oh, there, I think you might have seen that while we were rewinding here. As we are going to look from right behind our former race leader, Dylan Ackert, as he is running down the backstretch, comes in here with pretty chilly tires yet, gets himself loose on those cold tires, manages to keep from getting completely out of control, but gets himself down onto the apron nevertheless. And your restarting order here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, we should be going back green on about lap 100 here as we close in on the century mark. With James Ray leading the way here with Dylan Ackert and the number 66 behind him, with Tim Trowbridge, Chris Watkins, Bobby Blazer, Dan Heichel, Cody Strom, Mike Wright, Bryson Alexander, and Zach Osborne rounding out your top 10. As the pace car lights have not turned out yet, so we'll be running at least this caution lap and one more immediately following it. Folks, if you're just tuning in, you are watching the Independence Racing Network. I'm Dave Regal here in the broadcast booth, bringing you all of the action play-by-play, step-by-step, and turn-by-turn. We are being broadcast on YouTube. We are showing you iRacing.com and the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series live at Las Vegas. And we are brought to you by Northeastern Fire and Air, Buttkicker, and RS Button Boxes. And while we are talking about those sponsors, we do just want to give a quick shout out to them and give them some airtime here. In 2007,
Ray Riegel had a vision of serving his fellow firefighters' breathing air needs better. As a City of Reading firefighter since 1975, he knows the difficulties of finding the best and most affordable service company to care for and manage the most important means of survival firefighters have, breathing air. Northeastern Fire and Air is committed to providing our brothers and sisters with the best service in the industry and at an affordable cost. For more information, call 610-207-6608 for a consultation today and know that you can breathe easy with Northeastern Fire and Air.
With the Buttkicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Buttkicker, the future is feeling.
And we welcome you back as those pace car lights are out here on lap 100. We will be going back green at lap 101. That means that pace car is going to be getting ready to dive down pit road as your leader, James Ray, has his work cut out for him with MNN veteran Tim Trowbridge and the number 74 Ford on his outside, with number 66 of Dylan Ackert and Dan Heichel on row 2. Dan Heichel driving that number 7 Viagra car. He's hoping to keep it up there up front. And James Ray takes the green flag and gets himself a good run out here, as Dylan Ackert is in hot pursuit and he wants the lead back, and he wants it back bad. And we see Tim Trowbridge in the number 74 as we have a caution again here on lap number 102 of 100. And it seems like Lewis Fetterman, William Mann, and Jarrett Small have all gotten themselves wrapped up in a little incident here, as we're going to ride along with Jarrett Small. And it looks like he has had himself a connection issue and gets himself right into the back of that number 57 car. The 57 car driven by William Mann here slides up, bounces off, and just turns into a top and collects everybody, including Chris Claude. And it looks like the number 29 of Bob Nestor just barely squeaked through. Let's take a look from his perspective. As we see Nestor going into turn 3 and 4 here, he goes high, he rubs the wall and maybe catches the left rear. And we'll see what brings everybody down pit road who was just involved in that little kerfuffle there on lap 102. As it looks like Nestor, Carson, Small, and Trowbridge have all come into pit road. Presumably to get some damage repaired from that particular incident. So here in the Xfinity Series, Kurt Busch holds the current speed records as well for the NASCAR Xfinity Series and the NASCAR Gander Outdoors Truck Series. But those speeds are slower than the one, of course, he managed to pull off, as he also holds the NASCAR Cup Series speed record. Interestingly enough, as we just got done talking about Kurt Busch having all of the speed records here at Las Vegas, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has managed to pull off 3 runner-up placements at this speedway, which is the most anyone has accomplished here, which of course is not nearly as good as coming in first, but it's still a major accomplishment. I mean, especially to be up there in that top 2 3 times. I mean, we can see tonight how, the number 38 car of Mike Wright had been running up front for so long with James Ray, and now it seems like he's traded off with Dylan Ackert, who's currently running in that bridesmaid position, followed by Chris Watkins, Bobby Blazer, Dan Heichel, Cody Strom, Mike Wright, Zach Osborne, Bryson Alexander, and John Espewaldo III, rounding out your top 10 here on lap number 104 of 100. So we have just a little less than halfway to go in this race, as we are closing in slowly but surely on that 200th lap. And folks, we do want to shout out RS Button Boxes and Buttkicker, as they have provided several prizes for this series. Now, first place, and it gets kind of tricky, so try to follow me here. First place, the champion of the series, so that's after every race has been won come the end of the year, gets himself a Buttkicker and the choice of an I flag provided by RS Button Boxes, or $100. Second place gets himself a Buttkicker, as well as third place. And then fourth place, this is where it gets hairy. Fourth place wins whatever the champion didn't choose. So either the I flag provided by RS Button Boxes or $100. Then finally, the top non-playoff driver, so whoever finished the best out of the drivers who didn't make the playoffs from the get-go, he will win whatever the champion and fourth place didn't choose. So I realize that there's a lot of information there, but there's definitely some money on the table, some cool gear on the table, especially the Buttkicker and the I flag, where really the I flag is something new to a lot of folks. It's basically an LED light that's going to be next to your computer. You can mount it on your racing rig or wherever you have to in your home race area, that can talk to iRacing, and it'll know whether or not it's yellow, red, green, whatever's going on. As the pace car dives down pit road and James Ray and Dylan Ackert get ready to take the green flag, and James Ray, with another great restart, gets the jump over Ackert and puts some distance between himself and Ackert, as Ackert, Chris Watkins, and Bobby Blazer are going to be dueling it out here, as Chris Watkins in that black 04 Toyota takes the low side, and he thinks he's going to find the fast way around the bottom of Ackert, while Ackert, meanwhile, starts chasing down James Ray in a way that we haven't seen all night long. And we're looking back here as Dan Heichel in the number 7 Viagra Ford is right on the tailpipe of Bobby Blazer in that number 90 Ford, as none of these guys are ready to give up just yet, especially with so much racing left and so many laps and so many miles. Here with just under 150 miles to go, with 107 laps completed. And we're keeping a close eye on these four, as the 19 car of Alex Princeton gets him... interesting. The number 18 car, which is painted wrong, or at least on iRacing is wrong, is getting himself into the mix here on the low side. Is now we're going to have a battle here between Osborne, Blazer, and Mike Wright. Mike Wright, of course, in that number 38, followed closely by Cody Strom and Bobby Blazer. Cody Strom in this number 53 Napa Auto Parts Toyota, holding his own here as he keeps John Bawalda III and Bobby Blazer behind him, chasing down Osborne and Mike Wright. So that is Zach Osborne, who should be in the number 52, is showing the number 18 here on the track tonight. And we see the 16 car of Seba Cornez down on the apron, staying out of the way. Seba is a couple of laps down here, and he's just simply trying to keep it ticking away for points, as we're keeping a pretty watchful eye over Dan Heichel. And back up here in the front, we still see Dylan Ackert in hot pursuit of James Ray in that 00 Toyota, chasing it down. And I wouldn't say making it look easy by any stretch, because James Ray is working his tail off. Let's ride along with him and see what it looks like he's got going on. And we see James Ray being pretty comfortable here as he is logging laps and keeping it nice and easy as he rolls out of turn 4 and comes down through the tri-oval, crossing the start-finish line for lap number 114. We see Ray doing the very best that he can to keep Ackert on his tail, or off his tail, and he's got about a half-second lead over Ackert. Ackert, of course, who's battling Chris Watkins close behind him, followed by Dan Heichel. And then behind him is Mike Wright and Zach Osborne. As these guys have strung themselves out pretty decent, we're going to take a look here from high atop the racetrack in the Goodyear blimp, as we can just see everybody in a nice, even line, as it looks like James Ray's about to start working around some lap cars here. And right now we see that number 71 car of Mark Brewster on the inside, trying to stay out of the way of the lead lap cars. And he's doing a heck of a job of it. And I have to tell you from experience, that's not easy to do, especially when the lead lap cars are moving as fast as they are and as strong as they are. And right now, from far away, it kind of looks like this field has worked itself into a nice single-file organization, which, honestly, from a racing standpoint, that gets pretty comfortable after a while. So I think we're going to see these guys settle in, especially for the long haul, with so many laps left here, as we have completed 118 laps out of 200. And as we work through the field, we do want to talk real quick about Bob Nestor, who is the commissioner of Monday Night NASCAR's Xfinity Series racing here. He's driving the number 29 Relative Properties Toyota Supra here in this red and white checkered pattern. And Bob has put together one heck of a race And as always, his league here is highly organized as he drives with that RS Button Box's sponsor there in his right rear. So just want to give a quick shout out to Bob, who, like I said, has been working his tail off to get things off the ground here, especially in his first year as commissioner of Monday Night NASCAR's Xfinity Series. And speaking of commissioners, we also want to shout out to Barrett Coffey, who is the commissioner of the Tuesday Night Thunder Trucks. And Barrett has put himself together another great league of his own over there. Barrett also a regular in the Moonshiners Racing League, which actually ran a cool little 10-race series over the wintertime, over the off-season. And finally, last but not least, back on the lead lap is Chris Claude in the number 10 Dasani Toyota Supra. And Chris is the commissioner of everything. He is the Cup Series commissioner, the Premier League, of course, here with the Sunday Night NASCAR series of family of racing series. And he has really fostered a cool community here. Chris has made sure to include as many people as he can to get as close to real life as he can from Fairview, Tennessee. And he prides himself on being extremely detail-oriented and keeping things as realistic as possible, which I know in a situation like iRacing, it's not always easy because there's different things that we have to deal with, you know, as far as rules and regulations and how long things can be set up. And Chris has it all figured out pretty well. And we just want to give a tip of the cap, of course, to Commissioner Chris Claude. And while all of that's going on, we see that James Ray has now opened himself up a 1.5 and now better than 1.5 second lead as he is chasing down the number 94 car of Lewis Fetterman, getting ready to put him a lap down, as Fetterman had started up in 18th tonight, is now running in 21st, and he goes a lap down. Another victim of James Ray, as now he's going to have Brad Gunn in his sights, as it seems like nobody can hold off James Ray these last 2 weeks and now 3 weeks in the Xfinity Series. And we see the 38 of Mike Wright working the inside of Dan Heichel here. And we want to keep it right on the two of them as Mike Wright gets to the low side of Heichel, who gets out of the way, but then gets himself a little loose coming back down to get on his line as he falls behind Mike Wright in line. And now the two of them can probably work together if they can keep it together to work their way up to Chris Watkins in the 04 Toyota. And a little while ago, we had the kind of racing that makes any broadcaster or any spectator excited as we see Chris Watkins passing the number 94 of Lewis Fetterman. But earlier on in the race, it seemed like everybody was side by side, or at least in some type of a pattern where they were battling for position. And now with 126 laps logged, it seems like, quite frankly, we're going to get in line and follow it to the promised land. And folks, we're going to prepare you for something a little exciting here. We're going to have ourselves a bonus broadcaster. And in the next few moments here, you will hear the voice of my new partner, at least for the evening, Barrett Coffey. And we have Tuesday night NASCAR's Thunder Truck Series Commissioner Barrett Coffey with us here in the booth. He's going to ride along with us as he has gotten himself down some penalty points, not?
Not as many as I really wanted to, but we'll see how the night ends up.
Well, -1 is better than minus none, or as I tried to do last night, I almost got +2.
This is true. We're going to review that one. That one is literally the worst netcode I have ever seen on iRacing. I was the 8 car kind of got in the wall a little bit and did exactly what he was supposed to do and kept it up high, and I was about 3 lanes below him, and all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, something just slapped the right front of my car and sent it flying down into the infield. So, the absolute worst netcode I have ever experienced, for sure.
Netcode seems to have been a problem, and I assume that we're going to see something clean itself up once we get the update tomorrow. Just as we're watching the 03 of Jeff Carson, Bob Nestor in the 29, and Chris Claude, the JGR teammates, running in 14th, 15th, and 16th, respectively, as they are chasing down Ian Humphreys in that number 32 Toyota. These guys, I think this is the closest traffic that we've seen, as most of this field seems to have strung itself out in single file. Even here with Mike Wright leading Dan Heichel, they just get around another lap car, and they're bringing Cody Strom along as they're still trying to chase down Chris Watkins. Barrett, what did you see out there tonight? It seemed like, things were kind of dicey. I was telling the audience that during that second stage, it seemed like there was no room for anybody to move around, and now everything seems to have strung out.
Yeah, that's kind of the nature of these Xfinity cars. I do think one of the late updates last season with iRacing, the one that kind of changed the draft parameters a little bit, it allows these cars to race a little bit closer on the short run. But on the long run, you definitely really start seeing the difference in either setup and or driving ability. So that's kind of the nature. They definitely string out on the long run, but they're racing a whole lot better right now at the start of this season than they were at the end of last season. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's a heck of a lot more talent that's running around the racetrack. I mean, James Ray seems to be the Pied Piper of MNN right now in the Xfinity series. And he's being followed by Dylan Ackert, but James Ray has himself opened up to a 1.88 second lead over Ackert in that 00 Toyota as he's just out here logging laps and hitting his marks. Followed by Chris Watkins, Mike Wright, and Dan Heichel, still trying to keep it up there in his number 7 Viagra.
Yeah, that's right. He's the Viagra car is always driven hard, is what I was told. Yeah, I love to see Dan. Dan's a new guy kind of in this league. He's getting him a real good run tonight. Didn't have a great start to this season. Daytona's always a wild card in Xfinity and trucks, and Auto Club kind of turned into a little bit of a wild card too. But these mile and a halves, we kind of watched the real life cup race this weekend. They really talked about the mile and a halves being the bread and butter of the season, and it really is. For all 3 of these leagues, it's going to be the season. So I really kind of look to, who's going to be really good on these mile and a halves is, probably who's going to be really good overseas the whole season all along.
Well, the mile and a halves are definitely an art form, because there's a lot more that goes into it. There's a lot more throttle play where one twitch of your foot in the wrong direction and it all goes sideways all at once, quite literally.
Absolutely. And as somebody, who was a casual NASCAR fan before I started iRacing, you kind of hear the word cookie cutter and you kind of think, well, every mile and a half's just the same. If you're good at one, you're good at them all. And when I started iRacing, it really brought to light that every single mile and a half has a whole lot of different characteristics. Yeah, they're similar. Yeah, you got the racing style is similar, but they're all very different. So just because you're good at Vegas doesn't mean you're going to be good at Charlotte. Doesn't mean you're going to be good at Atlanta. There's a whole lot of nuances that they are far from cookie cutter, in my opinion, after, getting out and running some laps on these in the simulator. But it's definitely, mile and a half is definitely a different art form, different racing style than super speedways and different than short tracks. And, it's definitely something that's, is transferable through the different mile and a halves, yet you got to find the little nuances of each one. But they definitely are the bread and butter of the season.
Absolutely. And I mean, even if you look over the, oh, and we have a caution here. Stand by. Let's see what just happened.
I'm hearing I think the 51 might have been involved, or at
It
least
was
been close
definitely
to
the
it.
51 because I was just out of camera view here. We're going to see the 51 and the 98. The 98 just gets on the low side of the 51 and plows him out of the way into the grass. Looks like John Bawalda's going to keep it on the grass best as he can. But that'll bring out yet another caution here tonight on lap 139. And honestly, I mean, it's been a little while since our last caution.
Yeah, I think some of those guys been just, sitting there thinking about when they might make their green flag pit stops. We were probably within, 5 to 10 laps of seeing some green flag pit stops. So for some guys, it's probably definitely a welcome caution from, James Ray, Dylan Ackert, some of those guys up front with several seconds ahead of the rest of the pack. That's probably not a welcome caution. They were probably looking forward to green flag pit stops and moving through there. But a lot of guys going to come in, maybe get an adjustment here, at least get some new tires, and have a lot of laps of experience under the belt. That's one thing I've really noticed is you don't always necessarily need to make an adjustment in the car. You just need to make an adjustment with how you're driving the car. So, you kind of get that caution as a chance to reset and get back out there and, come with a different mindset, thinking of what you need to do differently, how you need to approach the corners maybe a little bit differently. And a lot of guys going to be happy about that. I think our front 2 or 3 probably not, but that's going to bunch the field up one more time. And, we got 20 guys still in the lead lap here. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and it looks like just about, if not every lead lap car is coming down on pit road as Mike Wright, James Ray, everybody else and their cousin is down there. And, I mean, look, with a little bit more than 60 laps to go, 61 laps to go, this could be the money stop. We're getting right around that magic number. What were you thinking the pit strategy was going to be as far as pit window being open, Barrett?
Honestly, it's really close to 60 laps. My personal pit calculator was telling me more like 58-ish. But, the tire fall off is really big. And so when you get to those last 20 laps or so, you're using a whole lot less throttle than you are at the beginning of a run. So you end up getting a couple laps more than what you thought you were going to get. But we may, by the time we go back green, be really close to what a fuel run is going to be here.
Well, and folks, if you're just joining us, you are watching the Independence Racing Network on YouTube. You're watching iRacing.com and the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series. I'm Dave Regal in the booth, now alongside my good friend Barrett Coffey, driver of the number 4 Busch Light car, who decided to put it on the hauler early tonight after he was trying to get some penalty points down, so I'm glad to have him in the booth. And we're getting you ready to be reset here on lap number 141. We should be going back green on lap 143. With Dylan Ackert driving the number 66 Chevrolet up front, with Chris Watkins in the 04 Toyota on his outside, with James Ray in the 00, who has been the Pied Piper of the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series the last 2 weeks and is trying to make it 3 in a row for a hat trick. As Mike Wright follows him with Dan Heichel in the number 7 Ford, followed by Cody Strum, Bobby Blazer, Zach Osborne, John Timms, and Tony Burt rounding out your top 10. And folks, I was telling you at the beginning of the race, Tony Burt is one of these guys that'll hang on, and he'll be there at the end as long as he's clean. And another one of those guys who does that is a couple spots behind him in Bob Nestor and Jeff Carson, 2 teammates from JGR. And these 3 guys are always there at the end as long as they're racing clean at that point.
Yeah, and that's really the name of the game, Dave. It's these big fields is, we're hitting 40, 43, 42, or I guess between 40 and 42 cars every week this year is really awesome. It's just amazing, the excitement and the interest level and the Sunday night NASCAR family with Monday night and Tuesday night. But it's a whole lot more, it's about an extra 6 to 8 to 10 cars more than most splits run in officials during the week. And, you think, well, a few extra cars at the back doesn't make that big of a deal, but it's not necessarily a few extra cars at the back. It's a few extra cars spread through all out the field. And, you know, it really is a game of trying to stay clean and making sure you're there at the end.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, speaking of Tony Burt, he's up 24 positions. So, I mean, yeah, he might have started at the back, but he has gotten himself right in the mix of things here on lap 142. And I was telling our audience just a little while ago that, you know, you guys, between you, Bob, and Chris, have really put together 3 awesome racing series. And I mean, you know, I think it's great to look, especially in the lower tiers where it's trucks and Xfinity, where you guys are filling it every week, if not more. I mean, as far as I know, you were real close to having to go to heats for tomorrow night. Is that still accurate?
We're not going to be doing heats, but it's definitely going to be based upon qualifying time. Might have some eliminations.
Gotcha. So we take off here on lap number 143, and Dylan Ackert jumps out in front of Chris Watkins going into turn 1 and 2. Chris Watkins in hot pursuit, and we see James Ray riding that top line. And last night in Cup Series, he was definitely trying to stay on the bottom line, but here he is on the top tonight, side by side with Chris Watkins. Neither of these 3 guys at the front of the field are going to be put to bed early. Oh my! And James Ray just takes it right into the wall, gets it all wrong on cold tires. With on lap 144, we are under caution. Let's take a look at James Ray, if we can find him here in our scoring, and see exactly what happened. As we see Ray coming into that turn and just noses it right into the wall. Oh man, Barrett, this definitely changes things for the end of the race.
Yeah, that's big, Dave. I was about to say, you know, I watched James Ray race a lot earlier, and many times when he was actually passing me, you know, I noticed he's definitely loose. He's got that car on edge, which you kind of have to do to be fast. And I was just kind of about to say that, and that's kind of like, it's looked like what happened there. He just got into 3, and it just was loose on him. And I don't know if that was an overcorrect or if that's just how bad it was loose on him. Looked like the 18 piled right in there was a big victim of that too.
Well, yeah, and we're looking here from the 76 car on the far chase, and it seems as though, and I'm trying to slow it down as best as I can, it seems that the 76 and the 72 get together trying to avoid James Ray. The 76 is going to go up the track, and Bob Nestor had nowhere to go, and he just T-bones him right in the door. So that's definitely going to be causing him some frustration tonight as well. Well, folks, this definitely changes things here on lap number 145. Your former race leader and Pied Piper of Las Vegas, the hometown kid, James Ray, just got it all wrong coming out of turn 4 and nosed himself in there. And that'll leave Dylan Ackert atop the leaderboard. And on the tower, we have Dylan Ackert, Chris Watkins, and Bobby Blazer, your top 3, followed by Mike Wright and Dan Heichel in 4th and 5th, respectively. Zach Osborne in 6th, Cody Strum in 7th, Jeff Carson in 8th, John Bawalda in 9th, and Tony Burt, you're in 10th. And between Tony Burt and John Bawalda, they've both moved up 25 and 23 positions, respectively. Tony Burt, of course, was involved a little bit in that incident that James Ray created, but I still think he's got a little bit more to give here.
Yeah, that's definitely going to shake things up for a lot of people. We're probably going to see some guys who maybe didn't have the best car are going to now be able to make a few more passes because of some cars that get picked up damage there. And we're probably, you know, the other things we're going to see some of those fast cars, like you mentioned, James Ray, obviously, the 76, Bob Nestor. Some of those guys just picked up a little bit of damage. They're not going to get the finishes they were hoping for.
Absolutely. And as we're here on caution, we do just want to take a quick second here to shout out to Buttkicker and Northeastern Fire and Air, proud sponsors alongside of RS Button Boxes, as we are going to go to commercial for just a few seconds.
With the Buttkicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Buttkicker, the future is feeling.
In 2007, Ray Regal had a vision of serving his fellow firefighters' breathing air needs better. As a City of Reading firefighter since 1975, he knows the difficulties of finding the best and most affordable service company to care for and manage the most important means of survival firefighters have: breathing air. Northeastern Fire and Air is committed to providing our brothers and sisters with the best service in the industry and at an affordable cost. For more information, call 610-207-6608 for a consultation today, and know that you can breathe easy with Northeastern Fire and Air.
And we welcome you back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Here on the Independence Racing Network, I'm Dave Regal alongside Barrett Coffey, driver of the number 4 Busch Light car. And the pace car lights are out here as we are getting ready to go back green flag racing at lap number 148 of 200. So just over 50 laps to go here in this piece. And Dylan Acker, your race leader on the inside, he's going to have control of the field as Mike Wright is chomping at the bit on his outside. And we're going to watch this pace car dive down pit road one more time as Dylan Ackert is going to giddy up and get moving right in front of this whole field. He takes off and gets himself a good lead here as he is going to bring along Chris Watkins and Bobby Blazer behind him on the inside.
Yeah, I know everybody's kind of got in their mind, could this be the last restart? Are we going to the end here, or what else might happen?
Absolutely, and it seems like everybody came down to pit at least through the top 14 here. And correction, everybody came to pit on lap number 139. The only person who came down pit road was William Mann in the number 83 Chevrolet this time around. So he's going to have the freshest tires going in here as William Mann, driving the number 57 White Castle Chevrolet, is moving in and around that 36 car of Brad Gunn as he's looking to the inside. William Mann definitely has some fresh tires to play with here as he's getting right up alongside of Dan Heichel, pushes him up the racetrack and around the 36 of Brad Gunn as these three are going to duke it out for a nice battle for 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Yeah, I was listening to some chatter. There was a couple guys had to kind of go to pit road. I'm not sure if they went all the way down pit road or just grabbed the entry or exit trying to avoid that last wreck. And a couple guys really got some penalties, lost a whole lot of track position because of those penalties there for that restart. So guys like Dan Heichel, had to restart about 10 spots behind where they actually were.
Well, and on a night like this, I mean, just hanging on to where you are right now is probably okay. And, barring a late caution, I think we're going to see this field kind of settle in as Dylan Ackert has himself about a 4/10 of a second lead over Chris Watkins. And Watkins only about a 1/10 of a second ahead of Bobby Blazer. And these guys are duking it out. I mean, look, you can see that they definitely put the work in for practice as these guys probably through the top 10, top 12, have raced a fairly clean race and gotten themselves to where they are and earned every bit of it.
100%. Yeah, with that caution, anybody who was questionable on fuel is good on fuel. They didn't even need to come to pit road. And anybody who did, I think you mentioned William Mann, is absolutely good on fuel. So if we go green, I mean, you got what you got at this point. And, losing a couple of spots on that restart is definitely, not going to make or break your race. This track is all about how your setup's going to handle on the long run and how the drivers drive it on the long run. So, losing 5 to 10 spots on that restart, yeah, it hurts. Yeah, it's psychological hurdle to overcome, but if we go all 50 laps here green, the best car and the best driver is really going to come to light. It's not going to matter where they started on that restart.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things that I've seen here, and I still have a race on Wednesday night to call for the Way She Goes Racing League over on ESPN. And one of the things that I've noticed here is it doesn't really matter. It's not a wild card kind of track like Talladega or Daytona. This is all about strength and skill. And I mean, last night I was definitely out strength and out skilled. I was out early and went and hung out with James and Rio over in the ESPN booth. And just kind of like you're doing tonight, where you just have a rough night. And for these guys from about 15th all the way back through 39th, with actually 38th, because it seems like William Fink and Jarrett Phillips, neither of them took a single lap tonight.
Yeah, I heard William Fink actually had a injury. I'm not sure if I need to get a little more clarification. I'm not sure if it was iRacing related or not, but he said he really hurt his hands. I know he's got a pretty good, pretty nice setup. I'm not sure if it was one of those wrecks that if his wheel kind of hurt him or if it was something else. But he was telling me he may be out for tomorrow night's race because of that as well.
Oh, man. Well, speaking of people who are out, one person who has been on my heart and mind the last several days who's missing from the track tonight is a Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series regular, as well as a Cup Series and Thunder Truck Series regular, Brian Tarnowski. We know that he's at home right now, taking a couple days off from the league as he is grieving over the loss of his wife, Stacy, who lost her battle to cancer last week. So our thoughts and prayers are with him. And Brian, we can't wait to see you back out on the track on Sunday, hopefully.
Absolutely, Dave. It's been Brian's one of the guys I've really loved getting to know over the last year. Just a real good guy, put in a real tough situation. And when the cancer came back for Stacy, I guess it's been almost a year ago now. We were all on that prayer train and praying for the best. She beat it the first time 3 or 4 years ago, and this time was not so lucky. But no greater guy than Brian. Heart goes out to him and the kids and the rest of his family. And I'm really proud of the support that everybody in Sunday night has given to him. We've done a couple charity raises and, sent some flower arrangements to the funeral and taken some additional donations for him and the family. And just the support of everybody in Sunday night is just really awesome. This whole family of leagues, what we do for each other when one of us is hurting is really nice. We can get mad at each other any given week on the racetrack, but when real life stuff is going on, everybody's there and everybody's real supportive, and it's just a real awesome family to be a part of.
Absolutely. And, when you say the SNN family of races, I mean, it's definitely a family here. I know, I was invited in kind of as a stranger off the street, and I've not found a better group of guys to race with than you guys. And, it's nice when you're having a bad day and you just get out on the track and you can kind of forget what made your day bad before, because, I mean, you can always find somebody who's going to make your night really bad on the track. But,
that's right.
It's kind of cool to just hang out and get to know everybody. I mean, even though that some of us are separated by hundreds and, maybe even 1,000 miles, or as close as, say, for instance, some of us, there's 3 of us from the Philly area, and Joe Stafford, Bob, and myself, who are pretty close to one another, just for everybody to kind of gel. Like, it's really cool to see everything come together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, that's a tip of the cap to you and Bob and Chris for organizing things the way that you do. And I know that sometimes it's a pain in the butt to get everybody on the same page, but once we hit about week 4, week 5, everybody's on the same page and everybody's got the same goal.
Oh, yeah. We had a lot of jokes in the off season that, kind of working on the roster, working on the team rosters, and, working on the schedule and getting all the information out to the guys. It almost feels like a full-time job, but it definitely, as the season starts, it's less work on our end, and it's as far as administratively, and it's just more work as I've actually going out working on the track, practicing your setups and being ready for the race. And everybody showing up with. I think we've put on a real good show in all three leagues, honestly, so far this year. And there's been a lot of learning curve with the next gen car and the cups. A little bit of learning curve with a lot of new guys and having 42 guys on the track instead of 22 like we had most of last season in Xfinity and trucks. That's always a learning curve as far as learning new driving styles, learning new competitors out on the track, and just having more competitors out on the track. But it's really gone really well overall. I mean, you're always going to have some cautions, always going to have some mishaps. Anytime you got that many cars on track, but overall, just the skill level has really gone up this year. The talent level and the respect level and the fun level for me has just really gone up tenfold this year.
Absolutely. And I mean, here, even watching, one of the things that to me has always stuck out about SNN is as I'm watching Chris Cloud here work the low side of the 33 car, the lapped car of Ken Ron. I mean, more people than not at least try to finish these races out and keep things interesting here on track. I mean, I've nicknamed Chris Mr. Consistency here, as he is running right now in 10th position and getting himself up there for a couple of bonus points, at least one here at the end of the race if we stay green and he stays in 10th. These guys, they're out here to race hard. They're out here to race and have a good time. And that's the important thing. For those of us that work 40 and 50 and 60 hours at work every week, this is a nice escape to be here. I mean, heck, I'm in a makeshift studio and I feel like I'm not even at home.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely coming down to the rig, and you kind of get the day away from you and do what you want to. Come out here with friends. That's kind of the coolest thing. Everybody's kind of got their teammates, but a lot of times, sometimes we got guys in public chat and everybody, just hanging out together. That to me is really what it's about. Just being able to come hang out with friends, cut up, laugh, joke, and get out on the track and just kind of get away from real life. And especially the last couple of years with everything going on in the world, we've had a lot of people new to iRacing. I was definitely one of them during the pandemic, and I think it's an escape from all that, and it's just a place to come. And I feel, me and some of my teammates and guys I race with regularly, I'm closer with them than I am people in real life. And some people have bowling leagues or softball leagues or whatever, Tuesday, Wednesday nights, or just go to the bar every Wednesday and hang out with friends. And, there's a lot of us who haven't really been doing that during the pandemic, but we come and get on iRacing. We hang out with those friends just the same way and do something fun. So the relationships have been really awesome to watch, and, league racing is really something that fuels that for sure.
Absolutely. I'm one of those people that's a beneficiary to some degree of the pandemic when it came to iRacing. When the Xbox died, Bob Nestor, driver of the number 29 Toyota Supra, he said, "I don't know why you're trying to go buy yourself a new Xbox. Why don't you get involved in iRacing?" And at that time, NASCAR was getting ready to try to have some kind of, parity with no racing going on in real life. As I see here, the 38 car creeping on the inside of the 53 driven by Cody Strom. Mike Wright and Cody Strom exchanging blows here as Mike is trying to get around Cody, and it doesn't seem like he's got enough car to get around him right now. And working that low side, he's definitely going to be grinding off those tires like a cheese grater. Here as we're finishing lap number 170. Folks, if you're just tuning in, you are watching the Independence Racing Network bringing the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series live to you on YouTube from iRacing.com. We are sponsored by RS Button Boxes, Buttkicker, and Northeastern Fire and Air. And if you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe, give us the thumbs up, share the heck out of us, and most importantly, turn on those bell notifications so you can get a reminder every time we're about to go live here on Monday nights. As we have now ticked off 171 of 200 laps, and it looks like Mike Wright is going to get the edge on Cody Strom here eventually. Maybe Cody backing off, because as hot as they're racing right now, with as many laps are left, he doesn't really want to use up the end of his car, especially because we know that he's going to try to get around Mike Wright here in the later stage of this race. Your race leader is Dylan Ackert, who's out here battling it out with Chris Watkins. And Watkins is now a 1/10 of a second behind Dylan Ackert. And he is looking to close in on this deal here as we are getting later and later and logging more and more laps under green at Las Vegas. And, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm wondering if James Ray, as much as we've been talking about him, especially trying to get his hat trick tonight, if he's a victim of the broadcaster's curse. What do you think, Barrett? And looks like Barrett muted himself. So, getting ourselves set up. Oh, there he is.
I'm sorry about that, Dave. Yeah, I was about to say, I was watching Mike Wright. He's been really strong this season in every car. I'm not sure if he picked up any damage or anything earlier or just missed the setup a little bit, but he's running a little off of where I've expected. But Cody Strom, he raced with us a little bit last season, but this is one of his first Xfinity races of this year, and that's a real awesome showing for him. But yeah, as we're coming, I'm watching this lead battle. I think Chris Watkins is just sizing up Dylan Ackert, maybe just biding his time, waiting for the right moment. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what, and we're going to switch over to the gearbox of Dylan Ackert in just a second because apparently it didn't want to go. Anyway, we're switching over to the gearbox here, and we're watching Chris Watkins chasing him down, and Watkins gets right on down to that white line and keeps himself, he's trying to keep himself honest. And as we're looking here, it almost sounds like Dylan Ackert is cycling his ignition off and on. So I'm starting to wonder if he's going to have enough fuel to get to the end, as he last stopped at lap 139.
Yeah, I thought some guys might be close. I really, 58 to 60 was kind of my estimate early on. But I really thought with those caution laps, it's about 5 caution laps at this track, and it's about 2 to 1, if not 3 to 1. So I really would have thought you would have extended, your fuel window by 2 to 3 laps just by having that caution. So I thought everybody would have been pretty safe, especially with how much you're off the throttle late in the run here, just as the tires fall off. But that's real interesting. There could be a couple of those guys here running that hard up front who might be still questioning in their own minds if they're going to make it or not.
Well, and I just want to pop into Dylan Ackert's car here, and yeah, I'm watching his tachometer on his dashboard here, folks, and you can take a look there. He's running at about 8,000 RPMs, and when he goes into turn 3 and 4, we're suddenly going to see those RPMs drop. And now, of course, he makes a liar out of me.
That always happens when you go in car.
Well, he needed to get around the 71 car. We're going to see if he's going to do it again, as he's trying to save. There it goes. Now he's down at just under 300 RPMs. So he's just cycling it off and on to try to keep himself in that fuel window. And maybe he's going to save enough, and maybe he's not, but he thinks he's got a strong enough car as he shuts it off again going into turn 3 and 4. I'll tell you what, the fuel strategy, especially in these 100% races, I mean, you can look at all kinds of data from NASCAR itself, but once you get out here on track, there's no telling exactly what's going to happen, no matter how much data you have.
Oh, absolutely. It's, every race is different. You can practice all you want, but when you get in these races, the intensity level goes up, the adrenaline level goes up. I mean, there are times that I surprise myself. If you're running in a big pack, you might end up saving a little more fuel than you thought you could because you're in a pack. But if you get out there and you're running away with it, you can also find yourself burning a whole lot more fuel than you even did in practice. Just because of oh, sounds like we got something going on track.
Looks like Chris Cloud just brought it down pit road here along with Brad Gunn in the 36 Chevrolet. Take a look and see where Chris is, as the two of them are going to come down together. And I got to believe that these cars, especially with Dylan Acker, Chris Watkins, Bobby Blazer, Mike Wright, everybody down through about 9th position. Last came into pit on lap number 139. And if Dylan Acker is cycling his engine off and on, then that means that these other guys are probably following suit, if not doing the exact same thing that he is, as it looks like Chris Claude and Brad Gunn are both now exiting pit road.
Yeah, there's very little reason to pit with less than 20 to go unless you don't think you can make it on fuel. So that tells me maybe my estimate was a little high. I was running very conservatively when I was doing some practice laps earlier, just trying to purposely stay out of trouble. So maybe my estimate was a little high. It might be closer to 55 than it was to 60 laps. So like I said, I think you gained 2 or 3 during the caution, but, that puts them about 57, 58 green flag equivalent laps. So it could be right on the line for these guys for sure.
Well, and Bobby Blazer is looking to get himself here in this dance between Ackert and Watkins as they go down into turn 1. Bobby Blazer quietly moving himself up into where Chris Watkins and Dylan Ackert are working. All 3 of these guys now are going to be in a 3-way battle for the lead here with 18 laps to go. And I'll tell you what, we're going to take a step away here and we're going to let everybody turn it up and enjoy some of the sounds of this race. Well, folks, we're at 9 laps to go now as your race leader, Dylan Ackert, ticks off another one here. As it seems like we're about to play the fuel mileage game here in these closing 9 laps as we're in single digits. And if you're just tuning in, this is definitely the most exciting part of the race as we're going to watch the fuel mileage game take effect here on the Independence Racing Network, bringing you Monday Night NASCAR's Xfinity Series. And we see Bobby Blazer working around... Chris Watkins working around the lap car of Brad Gunn as Watkins is chasing down Dylan Ackert. And I got to believe they're both trying to save a little bit of fuel. I'm Dave Riegel in the booth alongside Barrett Coffey, who is now my in-race reporter. Whoa, as it seems like Brad Gunn gets himself a little loose. We are on the Independence Racing Network, brought to you by RS Button Boxes, Buttkicker, and Northeastern Fire and Air. And we've had some really exciting racing tonight as James Ray led a good portion of this race right up until he had some cold tires affect him coming out of turn 4 a few laps ago here, as we are now at 7 to go. Barrett, what are you seeing from inside the cockpit?
Man, it's just what I'm hearing on track and what I'm seeing is everybody's been pitting for fuel. I tend to... people have kind of given me the nickname of the best fuel saver, so sometimes my fuel estimates might be a little bit higher than everybody else's. I think some of these guys were just running really, really hard when this went back green, and, you know, kind of the trend for the night, maybe thinking we was going to get another caution and it wasn't going to matter. So I think some of these guys are a lot closer than I was originally predicting. Everybody in the field seems to be going in, but these front, 2, 3, 4 cars, it's going to be really exciting to see who makes it and who doesn't.
Absolutely, and we're going to drop in here on Dylan Ackert as he's crossing the start-finish line with 5 to go now, as his spotter's got to be in his ear telling him just keep it steady, and he's starting to leave that ignition off a little bit further through turns 1 and 2 as he's now on the back stretch. And folks, you can see his tachometer there. That's the big dial in the middle of his dashboard. And you can see that he's up to about 8,000 RPMs and drops it down, shutting the ignition off, trying to save fuel the best that he can. And right now, I'm sure he's sweating it out as he hasn't been in for pit service since lap 139. And, he's still running a strong car up here, definitely saving tires as he's about to get passed by the lapped number 88 Ford driven by David Barnes. And he's going to let Barnes on by because at this point, maybe if he can get behind him and draft just a little bit, he can save a little bit of fuel as he rotates through turn 3 and 4. And we see Barrett Coffey, my in-race reporter and partner down there, going down pit road as we are at 3 to go now here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, there's no more spots to be gained, Dave. We're going to pull it home and watch this finish from the booth.
I'll tell you what, it's more exciting sometimes to watch it from the booth. I get to see a bigger picture as Dylan Ackert is trying to save his fuel, and we see him coming through, and we're going to be 2 to go when he crosses the start-finish line as he's closing in on that number 71 car of Mark Brewster, that Chevrolet, several laps down also. And it looks like Ackert and Watkins are going to be running here with 2 laps to go. And Bobby Blazer, the third-place car, giving up his podium position to come in for fuel. And that'll move Dan Heichel in that number 7 Viagra Ford into the 3rd position, as it seems like Bobby Blazer has decided he can't hold it together fuel-wise here in the closing laps. And as Dylan Ackert crosses the start-finish line, we have taken the white flag here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway on Monday Night NASCAR's Xfinity Series, and we see Ackert working around the number 51 car of John Bawalda III, and it looks like he's going to win this fuel mileage contest between himself and Chris Watkins as we hang on through 3 and 4. Folks, hold your breath because I'm sure Dylan Ackert is too, as he is about to cross the start-finish line, and Dylan Ackert wins the fuel mileage contest. He's got to be on fumes at this point, and that'll wrap things up here as Dylan Ackert, Chris Watkins, Dan Heichel, and Cody Strom your top four, and those four on the lead lap, as Bobby Blazer had to give up that third position for fuel mileage sake and came into pit with 2 to go, followed by Mike Wright, Zach Osborne, William Mann, Jeff Carson, and Chris Claude, your top 10.
Yeah,
My
Dave,
goodness.
when we were watching that battle 15, 20 laps ago, I thought Chris Watkins might have had something for him. I think Chris maybe started saving a little bit earlier and was kind of sizing him up. But Dylan definitely had what it took. We may not see too much of a burnout at all here, but here he comes. He still got it. He did a whole victory lap and still burning them down. He had it.
In the words of the great Harry Callis, Dylan Acker, you are the man. Whoa! He almost got taken out during his celebration as he is going to go capture the flag from that man in the stand there. And I want to take a look here and see if these guys have gotten themselves into the broadcast booth waiting room, and I don't see them yet. Let's see if I can... I'm going to take a quick break here and see if I can't find him. Oh. Is Dan Heichel not in Discord? Oh, there he is.
He should be in 10th floor probably.
Yep.
We need to pull him down.
Chris Watkins. Him I don't see. Can you do me a favor while I'm talking to Dan? Can you see if you can find Chris Watkins? Oh, never mind. He already made it down. Here we go.
All right.
Dan Heichel, it's Dave Riegel up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy, brother?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, listen, you had yourself a heck of a run here tonight, and it turned out Bobby Blazer needing fuel was just what you needed to get on the podium tonight. How's that feeling for you?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I got put all the way back to 15th and had to run my way up through. But yeah, it's good to be in the top 3 again.
Yeah, you definitely kept that number 7 Viagra Ford up and kept it moving. Barrett and I have been watching you here, and it was a pretty impressive run.
It was fun. It was really good fun. I enjoyed being able to run up through the field like that. I mean, I wouldn't prefer to, but it was good fun running up through the field. It was a lot of good racing.
Yeah, how were you on field, Dan? Were you in question?
Yeah, I ran out right as I came across the finish line.
Wow.
Yeah,
man.
Go ahead.
I was trying to calculate, and I thought y'all, with that one extra caution, nobody went in. I thought y'all might be pretty good, and apparently several guys were still a couple laps short.
Yeah, I would say probably from about lap 185 on, I was clutching through the corners, just trying to save as much fuel as I could. And then once it started overheating when you start clutching like that, and once in a while I'd have to run a lap and let my gear cool it down the water anyways. But yeah, we were right on the verge of fuel.
Well, man,
That's
listen,
awesome.
you put together a heck of a race. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, heck yeah, Barrett and Chris Claude and all these guys and Ron and everybody that's put this thing together. This is really fun. It made for some great racing. They've invited in some really good drivers, so it makes it really enjoyable. The league itself, I really enjoyed it. So shout out to Monday Night NASCAR.
All
Yeah,
right,
buddy.
man.
Yeah, I mean, but fuel mileage aside, you ran top 5 most of the night, so that's an awesome way to bring it home and get a solid finish.
I appreciate it, brother.
All right, man, listen, we'll get you back to your Discord, and I believe we have Chris Watkins, the runner-up. Chris Watkins, Dave Riegel, and Barrett Coffee up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, man, listen, you ran one heck of a race tonight. I mean, out of Bells, Texas, you brought that number 04 up there all night long. What did you see from your perspective?
I just needed a little bit more to get them. I was a little better on the longer run than James, but that 66 kind of had my number just hanging right there on the outside a little bit. So it was a fun race with teammates. It's a blast trying to save fuel. I was .3 to the good coming across the line. So I think Dylan will tell you he had like 3 laps. So it was very tight.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was popping in and out of everybody's cars and watching you guys cycle your ignitions off and on. So I figured you were playing the fuel mileage game, pretty tight. So, but I mean, overall, I mean, you were up there fighting every leader there was, whether it was James Ray or Dylan himself, our race winner. And I mean, dude, what a run. What a run.
Yeah, man. I didn't even sit in the car till like 10 minutes before the race started. So it takes me a little while to get used to the setup and get going. And I was running a different line than the other 2 guys. So it's just something that worked for my liking and was able to get up there with them. So it was great racing all the way around. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Do you have anybody that you'd like to shout out to tonight?
Just all my teammates at EE Sports and Adrenaline Spike Designs for making the cars look good for your broadcast, and you guys for putting the broadcast on.
Hey, man, we appreciate you. You had a great run tonight.
I appreciate it.
All right. That was Chris Watkins. And finally, we want to bring in our race winner, Dylan Acker, driving the number 66 Chevrolet all the way home tonight, who definitely put it together and was able to hold off James Ray after he had made his own kerfuffle there in the late goings of the race. Dylan Acker, Dave Regal, and Barrett Coffee up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you guys.
Hey, man, congratulations. Heck of a win.
Oh man, can we just say that was probably one of the best races I've been involved in my iRacing career. That was awesome. We got a little bit of carnage. We got the long fuel stints, and when it came down to it, it was fuel mileage. was the name of the game.
Yeah, that definitely seemed like it, Dylan. We were watching you. I know Dave had the camera on. Everybody watching them clutch it in the corners and everything. I was trying to calculate. I picked up some damage early from a crazy netcode incident, and that that totally did not give me accurate fuel mileage calculation later in the race. But I thought maybe that one extra caution that none of you guys went back down on to top off on. I thought, well, everybody thinks they've got that caution lapse going to give them enough to save, and then it seemed as we started getting, down to, 15, 10 to go, there's a lot of people who absolutely did not have enough to save. So out there leading the pack, running that strong, and still brought it home with enough fuel.
Yeah, I mean, when we took that yellow, I'm like, we don't have enough. We're only doing about 53, 54 laps, if that, and we still had almost 60. So I started saving fuel instantly. I was able to get that restart. That final restart is what really did that. I think I had Chris behind me, and we had Bobby there too, and we were able to just get all together and just walk away from the field a little bit, and then I just started saving because I had a feeling we're gonna have a green white checkered or we're gonna have something, but this isn't gonna play out. but yeah, I was clutching hardcore. I mean, that was the most work I've ever used on my clutch on my whole setup. So, but it worked out to the end, and I can't thank my teammates enough at EE Sports. We had James who had a little bit of an issue later in the race. We have I can't thank John enough for bringing me in as one of his drivers and welcoming me into them. We had Bobby in there. We had Ian. Just a whole great group of guys, and just an awesome group. And to come in here and the third race of the season, but we missed the last week because we had computer issues. So come back with the win. It was just awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, third race of the season, you've punched your ticket to the dance of the playoffs. So, now you can kind of sit back. I mean, maybe pad that with another win or so, here between now and, late August when we get into the playoffs. So now you get to kind of cruise around. So is there anybody that you'd like to shout out to besides your teammates and everybody?
Just like I said, I gotta thank EE Sports, great group of guys. I gotta thank Chris and Bob that runs this group, and just a thanks to everyone. It's been kind of hard doing official races and trying to enjoy iRacing, but to come in here and find a good group of guys who have respect, who has race etiquette, is awesome. It's one of the best feelings you can have as a member of iRacing and member of a league.
Absolutely, man. Well, listen, we're going to cut you loose here and get you out of here. And like I said, congratulations on the win. And we'll see you next week at Phoenix.
Yes, sir. See you next week.
Well, Barrett, heck of a race. And I'm glad that you came up here and hung out for a while, because sometimes it gets lonely up here in this booth all alone.
I bet it does. You've been doing a great job all season by yourself, man, but I know it's a lot more fun to have somebody else, and I appreciate you giving me that opportunity. It's definitely a good race, and I mean, just definitely echoing those sentiments. It seems like, a lot of guys are really loving what we've put together this year, and, what Bob's put together in this Xfinity League, and what Chris has put together overall for the Sunday Night Family of Leagues. It's just definitely echoing, just about every single driver on the podium there echoed the same sentiments we was talking about earlier. So definitely an awesome league. Definitely, an awesome start to the season. There's always some wrecks, always some hiccups, but I think everybody's really falling into place, really loving the level of competition and sportsmanship so far this year.
Absolutely. And just want to cover over our field here through the top 20. Dylan Ackert, your race winner in the number 66 Chevrolet, followed by Chris Watkins in the 04 Toyota. Dan Heichel, your third and final podium finisher here tonight, followed by Cody Strum, Bobby Blazer, Mike Wright, Zach Osborne, William Mann, Jeff Carson, and Chris Cloud in the number 10 rounds out your top 10, followed by John Bawalda, Brad Gunn, Lewis Fetterman, Tony Burt, Ken Ron, Ian Humphreys, Mark Brewster, Barrett Coffey, my partner here in the booth and commissioner of the Tuesday Night Thunder Trucks, Jarrett Small in the number 17 Chevrolet, Christian Stewart in the number 73 Chevrolet rounds out your top 20. And I'll tell you what, man, it's been a pleasure. It's been a privilege to sit here. So one other thing is here, an honorable mention in 21st is Bob Nestor in the number 29 Toyota. Jeff Cronin in the 18 finishes 22nd, followed by David Barnes, James Ray, John Timms, Bryson Alexander, Dakota Cave, Josh Ward, Seba Cornez, Timmy Trowbridge in 30th position, Andrew Layton, Paul Regney, Zach Vaughn, Chris Gore Sr., Alex Princeton, Derek Jacobs, J.B. Banner, Matt Mackin, William Fink, who had himself a little injury earlier, and your 40th and final driver tonight who didn't turn a lap is Jarrett Phillips. So for everybody here at the Independence Racing Network, here on iRacing, brought to you by RS Button Boxes, Buttkicker, and of course, our good friends at Northeastern Fire and Air, we want to say thank you and good night from Las Vegas Motor Speedway.